This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Ghee Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a Ghee Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey beauties, this episode is brought to you by Banyan Botanicals. Doesn't it feel good to support a really good company while you're also supporting your breasts? Yes, it does. We are offering you 15% on Breast Care Balm by visiting banyanbotanicals.com/Katie. And the link's in the show notes. We are also sponsored by Apothecary, a beautiful apothecary based nearby me on the East Coast in DC, offering Ayurveda-inspired herbs and blends. Their Mind Over Matter mushroom blend is a great product. It features chaga, reishi, and lion's mane. Use the promo code GheeSpot10 for 10% off your entire order. Link, as always, in the show notes. All right, guys, it is happening. I am so excited. This is one of my favorite times of the year because we are moving, at least in our hemisphere. I know all my Australia girls, y'all got to just do the opposite, right? You can go to the different episodes, but this one's for us up here, and it's Kapha season. We are finally beginning slowly to move out of winter and into late winter, spring. And that people tend to think that winter and spring are really different seasons, but early winter and late fall are more alike than late winter and winter. We're really seeing some major similarities as we transition. You know, things are not put in boxes, right? It's just this continuum. And so in late winter, we actually start to get a lot of watery experiences, watery conditions. All of that holding and dryness and coldness of the winter begins to start to release. And so underneath the earth, the soil starts to get moist again and the rivers start to flow again. And of course, in spring, we get those beautiful spring rains. And in our body, we are not separate from our seasons. We aren't separate from our environment. So inside of our own bodies, we have rivers, right? Your whole lymphatic system is a river. Your bloodstream is a river. Our thoughts flow along a channel from the mind to the heart to the belly. It's all a river. And these rivers are opening up again. And so it's just this really, really good time to spring clean, right? We're not quite in the spring yet, but just having that on your radar. The Kapha season can tend to bring about imbalances, colds, flu, mucus, a feeling of being kind of heavy, stagnant, congestion, sluggishness. When out of balance, we can feel kind of lazy, giving into our more lascivious desires and even overeating. And so we really want to cultivate, we want to honor and celebrate and go with all of the life affirming aspects of the season, like the fluidity of it, but we also want to mitigate the dosha, in other words, the imbalances that tend to arise during this season. And how do we do that? Well, we cultivate the opposites, right? And so this is a really good time to emphasize foods and activities that are more mobile, light, and even a little bit drying. You know, most of us don't want to go overboard with the drying, but this is a season where you can get away with a little bit more of that dryness. In general, being outside is a great idea. Spring cleaning your house, making plans for the spring, this is a good time to plan a wedding, which I'm really happy about because my sister's getting married in May. So my family's all about that plan. This is a great time to really think about new beginnings, rebirth, renewal. That's the pulsation of this season. A great time to think about clearing out your house, maybe redecorating, thinking about a renovation, all that kind of stuff. This is a great time to start planning that. In the business realm, this is a great time. We had a big planning meeting yesterday at Shakti School. Great time to think about, all right, what are our big eagle eye visions for this year? The spring is really way more the new year than January is. And so this is when you can really get your plan on. Walking, especially if you have a lot of the Kapha in your system or you are of the Kaphic body-mind type, walking, especially early in the morning or a walk after dinner, really great for keeping things moving. Even though things are starting to get warmer, we're in February in Virginia, so not quite yet, but as we move into March and April, you kind of want to watch the tendency to not stay warm. You still want to bundle up, stay warm, especially in the beginning of spring, because this end of winter, early spring is when the damp quality really builds up, and so we're kind of a little ripe for colds, mucus stuff. Another thing we are doing right now in Lineage of Love is a really fun, just like all out exercise experience. And out of any season in the year, the late winter, early spring, even into the spring itself is such a good time to really party, let your energy move, put on your favorite, if you're like me, like beach house music and jump rope and go on walks or mellow kind of jogs and just have fun. And this is really the season for that. And I always look forward to that. And plus, in winter, this is totally natural, totally healthy. Winter's when you put on a little bit more substance and fat, and that's totally fine, right? And animals do this. And then what happens? Animals out in the wild, those little green shoots start to spring forth. Animals start to eat more greens, and they lose some of that hibernating fats. Or if you're a squirrel, you don't hibernate, you just store it up. So on that note, in the realm of our diet, as we move more into that late winter, early spring, the basic idea is that you want to increase more of the pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes. And those aren't super common in the standard Western diet. You want to have less of the sweet, sour, and salty. So what does that look like? Best kind of grains are going to be your amaranth, barley, basmati rice, buckwheat, quinoa. Your best dairy, if you do dairy, is going to be goat's milk and not your super high fat milks. Nothing wrong with that, but we want to do more of those high fat milks in the winter and fall. So, something like a soy milk and almond milk, that's going to be better for you at this time. We don't do a lot of sweeteners during this season. It's not really the sweet season, but if you really need to have something, the best is going to be a small to moderate amount of just raw honey. Stevia is another option I'll use if I really want to put a sweetener in something. Oils, right now we want to do olive oil is really the best at this time. It's one of your more light. If you do some of the other oils, sunflower, avocado oil is a little heavy for this time, but truthfully, my favorite for this season is going to be your olive oil. Fruits, more dried fruits at this time, but also apples, things that are seasonal. Apple isn't so seasonal, but it is one of your lighter fruits. things like cranberries, pomegranates, prunes, raisins. Those are going to give you a little bit of the sweet, but they're going to be a little lighter. Vegetables. This is really the best time if you do love the veggies. You're going to be leaning into the alfalfa sprouts, artichoke, asparagus, basil, broccoli is good right now, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, all the vata things actually, kale, lettuce, leafy greens, mustard greens, parsley, radish, seaweed, spinach, turnips. Those are all going to give you that taste that's going to be balancing right now. It's a little bit more of the pungent vegetables. So like mustard greens are really good, garlic really good, onions really good, cilantro, celery. Those are all my faves at this moment. And sprouts, it really is, the bottom line is just eating local and seasonal. So if you head out to your farmer's market and you're like, well, this is what's coming up for us in the early spring, don't worry about a food list. It's really way more important that you eat locally. If you're eating the nuts and the seeds right now, is not so much the time to do the super, super heavy nuts. And so my favorite go-tos right now are pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, maybe a little bit of hemp, and, flax, okay. So those would be the ones I would emphasize. You want to avoid the heavier, like Brazil nuts, cashews, coconut. I know, I love all of those. Macadamia nuts, they're great and they're super good for you, but those are definitely going to be more of the heavy ones. So, like, I make a lot of pestos during this time that are more of a spring pesto. So, the base of those pestos would be pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and olive oil and garlic. And then I would put in any greens, right? Like pea shoots are really good. Lettuce actually is really good. Watercress, so good right now. Arugula, so good. So that's another little good kapha pesto thing you can create. Meats, if you do the meats, this is when you're going to have more of the lighter meats. So chicken, turkey, freshwater fish. I'm always doing the salmon. It's my go-to. But you kind of want to avoid the really heavy meats right now. And so things like red meat, duck, lamb, pork, those are all going to be a little heavier. And that's not to say you can't have them, but you just want to have them in less amounts. On your beans level, mung beans, this is mung bean season. And any of your lighter beans like red lentils, split peas, again, everything's fine, but something like a black lentil or chickpea, those are going to be a little heavier. Spices, basically anything. Any spice is really a good thing at this time. And even some of your hotter spices are fine right now. Yeah, guys, I think this is a good place where we can end. I mean, this really is a time to spring cleanse. And so that as you start to move more into the warming season of March, April, May, that's when you can start thinking about doing an Ayurvedic cleanse. And we don't do any kind of crazy things in Ayurveda. It's a mono diet. And we actually have a link in the show notes to a cleanse. If you want to know more about that, we have a cleanse for purchase. We also cover this in depth in Ayurveda school. And it's just really a great way especially for women, to feel light, to feel clear, to have more sattva, that clarity, but to not really stress ourselves and wreck our hormones by doing some kind of strenuous cleanse. That's really what Ayurveda is all about. All right, beauties, it's great to talk to you guys today, and I hope you're enjoying this wet season of Kapha.
फूटे फूल अपन सुखे फूटे फूल